right, I guess this is it. I was about to say because my higher self. Let's go ahead and call my higher self into the room. Come on down, bitch. Listen, step on through because it's time to talk some tea. So obviously I know where I'm at, but you guys, if you're watching and you don't know what the fuck's going on, but I know where I'm at, but that's all that matters at the end of the day. But does it really matter? I like to explain things because I'm a talkative ass bitch. I'm in Maryland, at my best friend's mom's house, at Charles's mom's house. So I have been here since October 4th. So I've basically been here all of October, which was not part of my original plans. Like I knew that this trip kind of like came up out of nowhere now that I'm like recounting this story. So I have some shit to tell you because today is like October 16th, and I'm leaving to go back to New York tomorrow. So I'm coming to like the end of my trip, and I invested in a ring light so that I could get me a little, a little beauty, a little, bounce and shit, bitch. No, but I also was just like, I'm in this space of investing in myself and investing in the things that I know that are important for my growth and important for the direction that I see things happening. So I felt like this was something that I needed to like really, really invest some time into and invest my money into, even though it will not be coming back with me to New York on my ride back because I'm taking the Amtrak, which I'm also a little anxious about getting on Amtrak tomorrow. Because that was the place that I was pulled off of in the middle of fucking Delaware a couple of like last year. So in my mind, like all of that's happening, but let's not even get there just yet. Like I need to walk through everything that's kind of like happened over the last couple of weeks. So in my podcast or in Mystic Moments, I talked about, not Mystic Moments, pause, in the woo wrap up. Basically, I was talking about how the theme of like October is all about like acceptance and appreciation and kind of just like acceptance for like where I am right now and how things have like changed and just like appreciating like me, like appreciating myself and appreciating the things that have like transpired and like transitioned over the last year or so. Because I did spend some time earlier today watching the video that I recorded the day right before I turned 30, and I was mad, bitch. Like I was upset. Like, and as I was like watching this video again, I was like, you had so much anger and so much frustration because you were still operating like on other people's terms as to how they thought you should be doing the work or how you should be like showing up or whatever. And I also think that I was kind of like pissed because I'm pretty sure that was the day that Ozzy and I and Charles were supposed to go to like dinner, but Charles like bailed on us because of Aaron, and I was like flustered, and that was like seeping into part of that message as well. But of course that was not anywhere in that video or not even explained in any kind of way, but like I was recounting this information or recounting like that story as I was like rewatching it. I was like, no wonder you were so like, like I know I'm real, but I also know that like that level of was like a different level of, you feel what I'm saying? So anyway, you can check out, it's called This Is 30. It's probably one of the videos on this YouTube channel. It's also for me like a year from now because I am pulling up to Station 31, Club 31. No, but yeah, this trip has been a time. So the original purpose of me even coming to Maryland was to help take care of Charles's mom. She's like my mom. She's always been kind of like somebody that has been a guide and a person that I have felt comfortable being around. Like even in my, younger days, in my early 20s, in my mid 20s, like I've always felt safe here, or just like I didn't have to, act a certain type of way. Like I could be myself even though I wasn't fully myself. Like, as we kind of like learn as we grow up, and like what are the things that are like me and what are the things that like I'm letting go of that are, not imposters, but like could be imposters, basically imposing upon who I think that I should be and how I should be showing up, right? And yeah, like there's just been a lot of growth, bitch, since I've been here. The fact that I'm even sitting on this, I'm like, wow, like I am manifesting because it is a Libra new moon today. And I'm so glad that I got to like one of the things that I have noticed about my time here, which is one of my like biggest takeaways, is about like the knowledge that I have, and like not thinking that the knowledge that I have isn't enough, because what I know is a lot more than what other people may know or even may perceive, and I have to like stop cutting myself off. So case in point, I got to talk about like the Libra new moon, like what that's bringing in, like with my Pam, and that just brought me a lot of solace, because not just that, but the fact that I was able to like perform Reiki on her, and like on her aches and pains and stuff like that one of these days since we've been here, and just like being able to see what I do now like in its entirety. I've been thinking of the word like edutainer, right? So it's like I'm an educator, but I'm an entertainer at the same time. And I'm like a healer, of course, like because that's just my natural state. But I see myself as being somebody who educates, but at the same time like entertains. And it's, you know, that's just my personality. It's always been my personality, even when I was in the classroom. But what I have noticed during this time that I've been here is like I have gifts, and I have things that I've learned and studied about myself, and like know about me that are important, not just for me to like recognize and realize, but to also share those revelations like along the way. And the fact that I've been able to bring like my healing work into this space where I'm at is really nice. And it's just very affirming, because it wasn't like or you know, like, because sometimes when you're trying something out with somebody and they don't necessarily understand it, you can tell them about it and they're just like, ooh, okay, like whatever. Some people wouldn't necessarily be interested in like hopping into, you know, the fold or into the void, but I've just been received, even in like the smallest bits of that sense. And I think that this is something that has been happening pretty consistently ever since I left Portland. So shout out to you, Portland, Oregon, and Sean, and Carlos, and Maddie, and Andres, and like everybody like that was out there, and all Sean's friends that, you know, because there's a running list, like I could just the list of things. But no, the first week of me being here really was like the recognition of me seeing how much New York is just not an energetic match for me anymore. Every morning I woke up, I came and sat on the deck, smoked a cigarette, maybe do a little meditating. If I felt like it, or if my mind was like capable of like holding on to that, maybe just like step outside just for like a hot second to see like, you know, what the weather is like, and then get into whatever else I had going throughout the day. So it was like the routines that I've had in New York, they just felt enhanced here. And it's because of the fact that I have fucking space. Like, you know, I'm in this room where I'm recording, and this trip also taught me like how big this house is, like a deck, a patio, I'm on the porch, like there's, you know, rooms and I'm like, I've always been here. Like I've come here for at least 10 years now. But this was the time where I felt like there was, like I could recognize this space, and it was because like I had my own space, but then I'm also still getting to interact with people like in, you know, this space that I'm sharing. And that was one of like the biggest things, or one of the things that kind of like came to mind, was around the fact that like I just don't have space. Like my spirit feels so big for my body, and it's like, you know, I have enough space. Like I'm so grateful for the space that I have. Like don't get it twisted. Like I'm so thankful for the fact that I have a roof over my head. But it's also like something needs to change, because that environment, it just doesn't feel like it fits anymore. And I feel like I'm a little, you know, like trapped. And I don't like that. So something has to change very soon. Like I fucking ran. Like I ran since I've been here. I don't run, bitch. Like I don't sweat. We know this. Like I don't like doing that. And I'm not about to sit here and lie and be like, oh, when I get back to New York, I'm gonna start running. I'm gonna take my walks and da-da-da-da. Like the fact that I was fucking walking is enough in itself. So I recognize like, you know, I just need more space. So that's like one thing that's like been on my mind since I've kind of like been on this trip. You know, it's nice to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city and just like slow down a little bit. But I will say that, you know, I've still been very busy since I've been here. I've still been very, very preoccupied with like a lot of different shit. As far as like work, I really hope that this video, and you know what, because I got it on this ring light, I'm gonna make sure that this shit is still going, just because I gotta make sure. Okay, it's still going. Listen, because I can't see shit and it's just me, so whatever. It's still going. Look at that. I don't know why, my paranoia kicked in. But oh yeah, maybe I should make some space for my higher self over here, because I did ask them to come into the room, because I want to like chill with him, like, and see him like in a couple of years. Like, how you doing, my nigga? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's who I'm trying to become. Whoever this person is that's sitting next to me, who's like 5 years older than me and already knows that like this is the life that I'm gonna be having, like where I'm sitting in front of my camera, you know, people is recording the door, like they got the outfit, you know, because I love a good flowy thing. And then when I'm like, it's too hot, like somebody will cut the shit off. Like, that's what I'm channeling into my awareness and just my future self today. But anyway, I just noticed that I don't do a lot of the things that I would like to do in New York because I just don't have the space. And also, I just feel very sensitive to the fact that everybody's kind of like compounded upon each other. And I sometimes feel really, really guilty about knowing that that's the way that I am. Like, I've tried to feel down about the fact that I cannot share space with people the same way that I used to. Like, I can't be in front of people's faces like the same way that I used to be, you know what I mean? Like, I can't be in environments with like a bunch of strangers that I don't know. I'm not saying that I cannot be around strangers, but I'm saying like it has to be more of like a, you know, not too overwhelming, because sometimes it just feels like I'm swimming in my emotions. And I just feel like that's not meant for me to be dealing with by myself. My higher self was just like, relax, like, girl, chill, you're talking to your fucking self. And I was just like, okay. But that revelation about just how I'm changing, and like, not I'm changing, because I am changing, but like I've changed, I've grown. I'm much more aware of some of the things that are triggers for me, and now I can speak to them. Because of course, like for me, this time has been great, but uncomfortable. And it's mainly because I am not accustomed to being around people. Another thing that kind of like came to my realization, or came to my awareness, is that I have never lived with other people and felt like 100% comfortable. The only time where I can think about that is like living with like Kyrell, living with Wagasi, when I was in college, so like the last couple of years, but it was just like, that was a different time. You know, I loved when my first year roommate moved out, I lived with 3 straight men, which shout out to them, DJ Todd and Jules, wherever they are, because I'm sure maybe one day I'll be like, oh my God, my nigga, you know, my nigga Gary got his, he got all that shit, he's popping or whatever, let me see his story. And I'll be like, yeah, nigga, you was part of my story. But those last 2 years were the first 2 years where I could feel, you know, comfortable being around like other folks, but we had separation between each other. And Kyrell was always fucking busy, Wagasi was always fucking busy, and I like to stay in the house. So I never really had to like interact with other people. Growing up, you know how uncomfortable that is. Love my family, uncomfortable as shit, being a queer baby, you know, living in a household full of niggas that are wanting to basically talk down to you. I don't know if I mentioned this to myself, but I remember a couple of, how long ago was this? Maybe like a month ago. I was reading through some of the things that I wrote. They had to be digital, that I had written to myself. And it was just like stories about like things that were like going on at home. And I was just like, bitch, you were miserable. And then the other place that I've lived with other folks was when I was living in Jersey. And I'm grateful for my cousins, but it was just like, imagine you kind of like imposing on a family unit. And this family unit has been established for like ever. And here you are on a couch for 9 months. Like, that was uncomfortable because that wasn't my space. And I never felt like there was a space for me. Like, I just felt like I was an intruder. And then the last time I lived with people was with 2 white women, 2 white lesbians. You know, I don't wish any ill will towards them at all, but that was just an uncomfortable experience. And living with white people is something that I was gonna say I don't want to do again, because that's not necessarily true. It was just like that situation and where I was in my life and where they were in their lives. Like, it just wasn't a match, but it was something I needed to save myself. But I don't think I would live with women again at this point in my life. Just because, I don't know, I'd much rather wake up to seeing dick every day. But what I noticed is that I've never been in a place where I have felt 100% comfortable. Like, being around others. Like, when I'm in a mood, when I want my space, when I'm used to just like hiding off and dipping off. Like, I'm in my house by myself, so I don't have to answer to anybody. I can put my phone on do not disturb and ignore bitches because nobody knows what the fuck I'm doing. People could think I'm sleeping. People could think I'm working. People could think I'm falling off the face of the earth. Nobody knows, but I don't have to answer that question for anybody until I want to. So like when I'm having my wave of emotions, because I promise you, it felt like there would be like 3 hours I'm on, 3 hours I'm off. And I don't know if that's an October thing or if that's just a me. Actually, no, that's a me thing. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry I got so close to you. Maybe we just merged and that's why I'm sitting so comfortably. Okay, we'll take that. So, no, it's just more like I am not used to people seeing the up and down. Like if somebody's gonna see me, like they're more or less, more than likely going to see the ups or just like the stable compared to like the flow of the river of emotions that is me. And I think what I struggled with was like being able to explain those feelings to Charles and to like Pam and to Lauren while I've been here. But I didn't struggle at the same time. It was like Charles knows me well enough to know when I'm in my head and can snap me out of it. Or it was like there would be moments where I'm like snapping myself out of it, which was super helpful. Or being able to do something that would take me out of that place, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But no, like one of the things that I realized the most was around like my feelings and like being okay with the fact that the feelings are not always the most stable and understanding that that is a symptom of, my anxiety, my depression, and, my, mental health issues. We'll just kind of like package it into that. And something else that, as I'm saying that, I'm just like the mental health issues are real and I shouldn't think that admitting that is a weakness, because it's not. It's just a reality of what's going on with me, but I am doing my best to make sure I'm taking care of that. So like I've started some new like mood supplements because of course like, older folks, moms, parents know things and they have access to like different stuff. And every time I come here, I feel like I learned something new. So I've been trying these different like mood stabilizers and I promise you like, I feel them working. Like it's like this moment where after I've taken like maybe like an hour later, where it's just like my whole body just feels like it feels like I have to catch my breath. It feels like I have to just like breathe through whatever is kind of like, fitting in my system. And it's just like, okay, like calm yourself down, breathe yourself through this. Like, what's going on, like you're good, and learning how to do that. And also being able to talk through those feelings that I was having. I feel like it's been easier now than ever before. It's been easier now than ever before. And I don't know, I just feel more connected to myself. This year of 30 has definitely been, and something is telling me like hold part of it for like another video or whatever. But the year 30, if I could like sum it up, I mean, I knew that this year, because I remember I told everybody that, the year 30 is going to be given very like suck my dick. And I mean, it's still very much giving that, but it's just like, I don't even have to get to a place to have to deal with a person where I got to tell them suck my dick, because I already know what that energy is going to be giving. I know what I'm going to receive from the situation. If it's not it, I'm out, So that has been one of the things, like, as far as like this year, like I have grown. And a lot of people around me have recognized my growth too. And of course, like that's natural, like as we get older, but I have been able to like internalize the things that have been changing. And as much anxiety I'm having around turning 31, and I think I'm just having anxiety around turning 31 because I never like planned for 31. Like in my mind, when I was younger, I was like in my 20s, like I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna be living in New York, I'm gonna be living in Los Angeles, California by the time I turn 33. I told myself I wanted to be out of New York. By the time I was 30, I think when I started living in New York for a little bit longer, I was like, oh, you'll be gone by 33. So of course, like either of those ages is kind of just like, well, now I'm about to be in the void. And I literally have no idea what this 31st year of my life is going to be like. But I welcome everything that is in alignment with like my highest good and with the direction and my purpose. The reason why I'm here, on God's green earth, to be able to just like live. Like I have also been having a lot of like not disassociative thoughts, but I feel like taking myself out of the matrix of like the 3D world and like thinking about like you are literally just a blip on this planet, but like there's other planets out there, there's other people on this planet that like operate in so many different ways, and everybody has a purpose. And it's just like we only understand what we understand like on this physical plane because of people on the physical plane being able to like talk to us and affirm. And people that understand like spiritual knowledge and spiritual what's the word that I'm looking for, basically just like spiritual understanding, is like that energy is like all around us. Understanding energy, it's like energy is all around us and it's helping guide us and lead us in the right direction as long as we allow ourselves to be open to it. And it's like I've been thinking about how, you know, we are on this, like where the fuck do like plants come from, and animals and insects and like trees, and like Charles has been talking to a praying mantis on his deck for the last like 2 months, like, and we'll call for the praying mantis, it won't be around, and then it'll show back up like a month later or like the next day. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like that has to mean something. Like I know that I am not tripping by seeing all of this shit happening live. And also being able to talk to other people's shit, their energy, and like help pull that out. Like when Pam told me that she could still feel me at her foot, like meditating and pulling energy and pain out of her feet when I'm like at her hand and her arms, that just reminded me that like energy is real. And then it made me think like, girl, you literally were an energy worker for like the public for like a year. Like people would literally ask you for candles to help them manifest things, and they would manifest it. Like, girl, like you have to stop shortchanging yourself, because you are a lot more powerful. You are a lot more powerful than you've ever realized, and now you're waking up to it, and it's just like, I'm ready to be king, but I'll be prince first, okay? Like, I'll be prince first, you know, because prince is like taking those years until there's room for me to be the king, and I am totally fine. Like, I'm young, you know, I'm cute, like, I'm totally fine with being a prince right now, but stepping into that royalty is where I'm at, and just like owning it, and like not being fearful of it. Like this time has been a huge moment of recognizing all of the shit that I've prayed for coming to pass, coming to fruition. Not 100% the way that I anticipated for it to just yet, but it's on the way. And it's coming even more. You know, I'm still working on, because I don't, okay, so I can share a couple things. So I'm like, you know, I talked to myself last year and I was just like, you know, you're in a good place to be in a relationship, blah, blah, blah. You're much more, you know, secure in yourself than you ever have been before. That was a fucking lie. Like, definitely have been on the dating pool, been out on the dating apps, like trying that stuff out. And I have done a really great job because, you know, first time I hung out with a dude, I was literally like, he's here and I'm here. I don't even know if I'm on camera anymore, but that's how much like space I was giving old boy. And then the last date that I ended up on, like, no, I was closer, but it just wasn't there. So I feel like, you know, third time's a charm. So I don't know if the third date of whoever I end up going out with, because I mean, I'm like 95% sure that I've like met my perfect match. I love either one. I'm 95% sure I've met my perfect match already, but I don't know who that person is. And I just need them to pull up on me and tell me that they're looking at me so I can look at them and we can be like, I got googly eyes for you, boo. But no, I say that to say like I'm much more grounded in me than I've ever been before, and able to speak to why I am the way that I am and not feel guilty about accepting that. What else has been going on? Because I got distracted by this. I was trying to read my notes to make sure I read everything, and I haven't even been looking at my notes the whole time, but let's go ahead and review. Did I write everything? Yeah, I've been writing, you know, working on a blog post I'm gonna be able to share that with y'all, like if you're watching in the near future. Learning me again and learning how to balance, of course, because of the theme of the new moon. Reviewing, let me tell you what I wrote down. So let me see if I double checked and, you know, got everything. You've changed in so many ways. Week 1 was so fast, meditating, writing, healing myself, working, getting outside, hanging with mom and surgery stuff. Week 2 was very slow. This week was very slow. But it was just like me stepping into this new vibration. So it's just like reviewing myself, the way that I operate, helping to heal others, recognizing where anger arises in my life and being able to speak to that. Played a lot of games this past week, which I'm a board game girl. Like I love Scrabble, love like the game of life, like Monopoly, stuff like that. There's this game called Sequence that Pam really loves that we played a couple of times. Pam and Lauren love. So just like stuff like that. So just like really having a good time and like engaging with others has been kind of like a really big thing of this week. And then also just like literally one of the things that I've been doing a lot of is like asking, you know, my higher self, asking God, like, what do I need to be doing right now? Like, what should I be focused on? Like, and why do I feel this way? So I'm like, why do I feel this way? And then I'll get like this answer. And I'm just like, okay. And then if I don't like the answer, I'll question it even more. And I've just been being okay with that process, that thought pattern, so much so that I've like passed it on to others. And I feel like they've been incorporating it into their like own life in whatever way. So I'm 11 days away from 31. And I was like, as I return, because I go back to New York tomorrow, I'll be riding the train tomorrow at some point. I was just like, what are some of the things I need to keep in mind for the last 11 days of being 30? Keep it simple, because I've been thinking a lot about like what I should be doing for my birthday. And to be quite honest, all I want to do is get fucked up off some drugs, maybe some psychedelics, you know, maybe a little, you know, like party shit, party medication. Read between the lines, okay? Read between the lines, you know what I'm talking about. Make sure I stay organized, because I feel like I've been doing a good job of not necessarily letting my quote unquote day job take away from my spirit. Like it definitely had a couple moments this week, but then I had to come back and snap back and be like, you are on a contract as to where you work a certain amount of hours, and that's all that you're paid for. And you can continue to put in for people, but you also need to make sure that you're getting out what you're putting in. And financially, it's a blessing. I'm very grateful for it, but I'm also like, this should not take up my life in the way that it has been being taken up. And I want to start siphoning my energy into other things that are going to keep me grounded, so that way I can be happy when I go back into that world, step back into that world. But yeah, back to birthday. I'm really excited. Like, as much as I may not seem that way, like I would talk about it, and I really want to like make a gift list, like, you know what I'm saying, like that type of stuff. Like I really want to go all the way to like allow people to bless me. I deserve to be blessed. Like as I'm talking, you know, there's something in my brain that's just like, no you don't, but then I'm just like, no, like that's an old way of thinking. Like I deserve to be blessed. I have blessed others. I deserve to be blessed myself. I don't do things in order to be blessed by others, but I know that that is the law of attraction. And it's also just like, I don't know, my moral code. Like I just like being of assistance. Like I'm really big on, what I've noticed is like cleaning up behind others, but I can't clean up behind myself. And I think it's because like I enjoy the act of service for other people, and like seeing, you know, making sure that I'm like holding them down. But when it comes to me, like I don't really give a fuck. But that realization, I've been saying the word realization a lot, made me kind of just like recognize like I would totally be able to live with another person at some point in the future if they understood, 1, give me space, 2, give me cuddles, 3, give me, you know, dick or ass, depending upon what day of the week it is. You know, I might not even want that, just give me kisses, honestly, because I'm getting to a place where I'm just like, am I really scared of fucking? Because it's been over a year. And it's like, am I scared of fucking? And it's like, no. You're just scared of, you know, the after effect of what it means to like be intimate with like somebody, because, you know, I like to continue being real cute and whatever, and niggas don't always like that, so I just need to find the right one to do that with. But I really want to be celebrated this year. Like I want people to celebrate me, because it'll allow me to celebrate myself even more. Because I feel like I've been doing a lot of like this celebrating of self. Actually, no, I have not. Let me go ahead and recount the things that I've accomplished in my first, you know, in the first year of my 30s. So, and this is something I need to do in order to just remind myself of all the shit that I've done, even if it's not in front of me, like intangible and like making sense. And I mean that in the sense of like, I don't see it all the way. I filmed with BuzzFeed my first month of my 30s. So I was flown out to Los Angeles to do that, which I'm so grateful for. I'm like going through each of the months. You know, had a fucking had started my podcast. I started that in, the last month of my 29th year, but like kept it up, got bigger engagement, grew a following, because I hit like 10K on Twitter at least, steadily growing like an Instagram following. Like my numbers over the last year have definitely at least doubled on social media accounts, tripled actually. Which is good. Like I don't do all of this for that, but it does feel good to be validated in that way, because it's like this shit is resonating with somebody and it's resonating with me too. Like I feel much more authentic as far as like the shit that I'm putting out there. Like I think about like last year I was complaining about showing up for people and doing all this work and this spiritual work, and it was like, bitch, your spirit is tired because you are not balancing it the right way that you're supposed to. With the Libra new moon. And now I understand that like I'm not supposed to be for everybody. Like I see myself being more like, let's sit at this round table and discuss things, and I'm gonna drop some tea about what the fuck's going on in my life, and it's gonna apply to you. And then if you like that, then me and you, we can chat offline and we can have like a little bit more private conversation. But that's because you and I, we have interacted in some way, or you are familiar with me. You're not just picking me up off the street. Because that used to get me a lot, because I think a lot of people will come to me thinking they're gonna get some like in-depth reading where I'm gonna tell them their grandma gonna die in like 3 days, and they need to go on this day in this month in order to go to this restaurant where they're gonna meet the man of their life. And I'm just not that person. Like I am here as a guide towards self-actualization, and I accept that. I accept my role and I accept my purpose to just be me and like speak. Like I think that that's like the major thing that I have to remind myself is like every single time that I talk, I unlock a key, at least for myself, and that's where it begins. And if it unlocks a key for somebody else, I'm grateful for that. And that's part of my gift, is just talking. And I shouldn't be ashamed of doing that. It makes me think about the fact that like I grew up like as a child, I had a speech impediment and like I couldn't hear very clearly, and people thought that I couldn't read. Like I was, a little slow with like reading. It was because I couldn't fucking hear, because I used to have ear infections all the time. So it's just like the more that I push myself to speak, the more that I see myself shine. What else did I do? Went to Toronto. I was international, bitch. No Natalie Nunn, which I haven't been international since I was in graduate school. So that was a blessing, and I did that trip all by myself. I was a coach for 15 people, like a spiritual coach, spiritual guide, mentor, for 5 months, 6 months at least. Still have relationships with every single person in some capacity, except for like maybe like, well no, I've got a relationship with each of them in some capacity still. So just like even people taking a chance on me and thinking that I had something to offer, and I'm just like, bitch, I'm figuring it out too, but like we still here. And I'm super close to like probably like 95% of the people that I mentored over the last year, and it's just a blessing to know that people trusted me to be their teacher and be their guide. And now I'm like, all right, so how are we gonna bring it back in the new year? Because I'm thinking about taking on mentees again later next year. I wanna get some things ground level, some gigs locked down. So that was all great. Got my MacBook back, I've just had a lot of wins. Signed a contract with my business, with my company. Started a company, started an LLC, shout out GG Universe. Hired not one, but 2 assistants. Well, had 1 assistant that was just like there helping. And now I have one that I have an administrative assistant to help me with like emails and messaging and just like making sure that I'm doing everything that I need to. Like, I'm just like, wow, like this is the first step. Like this is year 1. And if this is like the base level of like what is to come, and I've done a really good job so far. And I have to like give myself credit for that. And I'm proud of me. I'm super proud of me. And I've strived a lot in my life to hear that from others, like have them affirm me, but like I can affirm myself now. And I want to thank every single person that has put into me to remind me of how awesome I am, and how amazing I am, and how talented I am, and how gifted I am, and how intelligent I am, and how thoughtful I am, and how caring I am. Like, because I didn't always hear that in my brain. And I still don't always hear that in my brain. So I'm still learning how to just like lock it in. And I'm grateful to be in this space now, and I know that I can only go forward from here. When I also get back to New York, because I'm gonna crumble this shit up. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, gratitude and chill. So just like chilling the fuck out. Like honestly, like taking the theme of chilling into 31 is super important, and riding the wave, going with the flow. Definitely gonna continue with that. And then asking for what I want. So like I want a Range Rover. I would like a life partner that has, you know, bread that he could break me off with, you know, because I just see myself like this should be my life, girl. Like I'm not trying to be like the YouTube mommies or anything like that, but I definitely should be able to just sit and record videos when I feel like it, not on somebody else's schedule, and like connect with my community, connect with my people like that. Like, because I also have to remind myself that I'm the type of person that loves connecting via the interwebs. I've been doing that since I was an early teenager. So connecting with the right soul tribe, soul family, definitely something I want to continue to do. And then I need to change my wardrobe. Like the drip has to be on. I gotta manifest the drip in the physical. Okay, the drip is all spiritual right now. It's all in my emotions, but I need an outfit change. Okay, universe, and okay, me. I need an outfit change. I have noticed that like I love flowy things. I love things that cover my head, that feel very loose fitting, kind of like very unisex-ish type vibe. And I really want to start bringing like more color into my wardrobe. I've been scared of color for like a really long time because of like my skin, and like my skin issues and everything like that. Like I remember people talking about my fucking eczema and it being all on my forehead in my last video, but get into the forehead, get into the body, bitch. Like, okay, like that's how I feel about everything right now. And I also am kind of just like, you know, my body is not snatched, but I'm loving where I'm at now, because I've definitely lost weight since I've been here, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell if you watch this video, girl. Because I did do a little running, and me and Charles worked out. Shout out to my bitch, like shout out to the Hayes family, for sure. Because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I'm at now, like today, without them and without this moment of healing and without this moment of gratitude. So I just have to show appreciation for that and all of their extensions at this moment. Okay, my higher self is saying that is it. She's like, okay, girl, you got food in the kitchen, and I need to, because my Survivor episode appeared, it came on today. Tatiana Terrell sent something about like the Libra new moon and everything like that. But I'm looking forward to the balance that is continuing to come into my life over the next couple of weeks. I'm excited to celebrate another year. Knock on wood. I don't know where there is any wood. We're just gonna knock on wall for the time being. You know, celebrate this birthday and many birthdays to come. Just booked a ticket. Also manifesting some more money to come into my life, because I definitely blew all the money that I had made. I didn't blow it. Let me take that language out. I spent money today that I had received from a check that I had been waiting for weeks. I had to pay some things off, and people asking for stuff, and I was like, I really don't want to let this go, but you got to. And it's just like, scared money don't make no money, and I know that that's gonna come back tenfold, and I'll be able to just like, I'm waiting on my magazine cover. Ooh, the day that I get the magazine cover, bitch, y'all gonna be sick of me. Y'all gonna be sick of me, bitch. But yeah, I'm happy that I came. I'm happy that I conquered. Also, I'm sure that a lot of y'all probably watched this the video right before I ended up leaving. So that means that I survived. I survived. Ooh, that was a good note. Okay, but yes, that is it. And I'm gonna go stuff my face and enjoy the rest of my evening and decide if I'm gonna use this again, because this setup, as bright as she is everything. Love you. Peace. Oh, look, girl, I got a fucking click. Oh, bitch, it didn't even fucking click.